Good morning, welcome to TERRA at Home. We're having a nice start to our morning this morning, nice relaxed, nice and warm and cozy. I'm here with Katie from De La Soul Yoga, and we're at your newest location here in Waterdown.
Yes.
So congratulations to you. This is 3 locations for you now, right?
It is, yeah, it's an absolute dream come true. I opened my first studio 9 years ago in Hamilton, and it's been really well received.
Yeah.
And then I opened my second studio 2 years ago in Burlington inside Cedar Springs Health Racket and Sports Club. And then we're so excited to be here and part of the Waterdown community, and we opened July 1st, which was a bit of an odd time to open a hot yoga studio, but it's the way it worked out.
Timing.
And, yeah.
Now, let's talk a little bit, because you referred to obviously hot yoga. So, you know, obviously people understand yoga. Yoga's been around for many years. But what is the difference if we talk about hot yoga? And we obviously have some participants behind us kind of showing off what yoga is. So basically the same moves often, but in a warmer environment, and why?
So the hot yoga has really become popular, especially in the Western world, where we happen to have lifestyles that create very stiff bodies. And so a lot of people shy away from yoga because they think, well, I'm not flexible, so yoga isn't for me.
Right.
And that's a myth, because really, you know, you work at your own level and your flexibility increases the more you practice. So the hot room really helps to facilitate opening the body a little more quickly. So people come to class and they leave feeling encouraged rather than discouraged, because they're noticeably more flexible at the end of a session because of the heat. That's one of the benefits of the heat.
That makes sense. I mean, your muscles will naturally become more pliable when they're warm, right? We know injuries come from cold muscles, right? They tear and break just like a elastic band would, right? So if you're in that nice warm environment, and there's something very soothing about it too, particularly in the Western environment where we do have some very cold temperatures outside in the middle of winter like we are right now, and it's a great environment to be in. Now, is it completely safe? Is it good for everybody?
So we use a type of heat. It's a really beautiful type of heat. It's called infrared heat. It's the same type of heat that you get from the sun. And what infrared heat does is it heats solid objects rather than the air. So the floor is warm, the walls are warm, your body warms up. And it's also a type of heat that is anti-inflammatory. So it's used in the medical and athletic communities to help speed up injury healing time, to help reduce pain associated with any sort of pain with diseases such as fibromyalgia, arthritis. So it will help with all of this. And is it safe? It is deemed to be very safe. Now, of course, we want our students to take precautions. We want them to come into the room well hydrated. We want them to rest whenever they need to. And certainly we do similar moves in the regular temperature room as in the hot room, but in the hot room we move more slowly. There's definitely a little more care taken in terms of the pace of the class.
Okay, and that's the thing about with yoga. There are different styles of classes, and as you said, the pace is different. So somebody who's never done yoga before, say whether they're 20 years old or 65, can come and learn yoga for the first time and come into a more gentle environment, right? It doesn't have to be scary and intimidating, because sometimes you'll see like the girls behind us who are very well versed, you know, yoga students, but it can be approachable for anybody.
Absolutely, and this is one of my most important messages, is that yoga truly is for everybody. All it involves is moving at your own pace, paying attention to your breath, learning to breathe more efficiently, which has a whole slew of benefits in your daily life.
Sure does.
It absolutely does. We all know how much better we feel even just taking 10 slow, deep breaths when we're feeling angry or flustered. So you can imagine the benefits of spending 60 minutes breathing slow and deep. That's what I like to emphasize in the classes, not so much the advanced poses or needing to be flexible or strong.
Right.
All of that will come with practice, and it's certainly an enjoyable benefit, and it's something to celebrate once it happens.
Sure does, yeah.
You know, I know the first time I was able to do a handstand, I certainly celebrated, but you don't need to be at that level to enjoy yoga.
Right.
So what I would recommend for anyone out there interested in trying yoga is to look on our schedule for classes labeled intro in either the hot or the regular temperature room, which we're in right now, or look for a class labeled Gentle Hatha. And another popular style is called Sweat, Relax, Restore. It's a beautiful introduction to the hot room because you don't do any athletic standing poses. It's all flowing floor stretches done in the heat with candlelight. We actually have people that bring their PJs And after the class, they shower, they put their PJs on, they go home and go right to bed.
Great idea.
So those are the 3 classes I would recommend for newcomers: Gentle Hatha, Intro, and Sweat Relax Restore.
Great, that's great. And you talked about breathing, and I know a lot of times that's the one thing I'll get in my life. I'll get shortness of breath when I'm stressed. I'm carrying. When I first come to class, I can't get a full breath. By the time I leave class, I have a full breath, and that's how we're supposed to be breathing. So you're right, it really helps people, if anything, the average person just learn how to breathe deeper and full.
Yes,
right?
yes.
So that's a good thing for people. Now, people know I work for the Hamilton Tiger Cats football club. Our players go and do yoga. So you have these giant guys going in and doing yoga. Maybe not quite as graceful as the girls behind us, but they do it because it's really good for them in terms of strength and flexibility. So you're gaining a lot, and anyone can do it.
Yeah, many of them come to our Hamilton studio, and they're always surprised at what a workout it is.
Sure is.
They think, okay, well, yoga's for stress relief or for flexibility, for injury prevention related to their sport. But then they try a class and they realize they could pretty much give up their gym membership, because a yoga practice, especially like what these girls are doing behind us, sort of this flow style yoga, is so athletic. It stretches and strengthens every single major muscle group in the body, and can also actually be cardiovascular.
Yes, and that's one thing I think that we should touch on as well. Sometimes people think, well, but there's no cardio. Am I actually going to burn calories? Is this really going to do much for me? But it does a whole lot.
In the hot room, you actually burn about 1,000 calories an hour. Wow. That can be a big draw for people. And you know what? Even though yoga isn't at its essence about weight loss, if that gets people in the door, I'm so happy for them to come in and get the benefits of losing weight, and then discover some of the deeper aspects of yoga practice as well.
And I think another thing that, especially as you start to get older in life, is you start to lose balance. And obviously this is one thing, you're gaining such a strong core. Yeah. That's where all your balance comes from, right? So you're coming into class, and that's why older people can do yoga. It is going to help with that, learning how, and it's always, you guys always make recommendations. So again, just adaptations of a move, so that people can do it and help with that balance.
Yeah, one of the things I'm most proud of is my instructors are some of the most highly trained, highly experienced instructors that I've ever come across worldwide. I just think we offer such a high caliber of instruction at all the De La Soul studios, and they're so passionate about yoga and about taking care of their students and making sure that their students are safe and preventing injury as they challenge themselves.
That's awesome. Well, it's such a pleasure being in the studio and talking to you today. And again, it's a great environment for men and women to come into.
Yes.
And it is that time of year where people are, out right now. A lot of times people have their New Year's resolutions, and right now they may be kind of breaking them a little bit. But add yoga into your life. If you still like to go to the gym, add it in if you like, or add that with some walking or doing some other weight training. But it's a great part to your life because there's so much more to it than just the fitness aspect.
Yes, even just once a week or a couple times a month is enough to actually see a noticeable difference in your state of mind, your stress level, and your flexibility.
Well, thank you, Katie. So nice to be in your studio, and good luck here at the new Waterdown one.
Thank you
so
much.
That's it for now. We'll have more TERRA at home after this. When I dream in color. When I think of color, I think of TERRA. Make your dreams come true at TERRA, where color lives.
Heritage Perennials. Look for us in the blue pots.
Good morning, welcome back to TERRA at Home. I'm here with Rebecca from Refresh Salon and Spa in Ancaster, and nice to be in your nice quiet space.
Thanks for coming in.
We have, the new year upon us officially, right?
Yep.
So we want to talk a little bit about some trends, particularly geared around brides. So generally this is a very special time for people, and they want to have very special hair. So let's talk a little bit about, since we're going to move forward to spring and summer, which we love to talk about those months versus the depth of winter, right, that we're on now. And what are we seeing for 2015 when it comes to hair trends?
Lots of different things. There's always the classic styles, very bohemian with braids and that this year. Flowy curls, very popular. So.
What about color? a lot of times, what do you find brides do with color? Do they tend to go back to what they're close to what their original color is, or do they try to stay where they're at that time, or what do you see?
I think it's just whatever they're happiest with at the time. So whether it's closest to their natural or something a little bit funky like what I have going on, or something like blondes really like to stay blonde.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. All right. So we have some models with us here today, and we're going to kind of go through what, again, just some variations in style, but we also have to take into regard dresses as well.
Absolutely.
Location, a venue, right? So. And again, time of year, we're looking at spring and summer right now, but we can kind of discuss if some of these hairstyles can move into the fall and the winter as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so let's talk about our first model.
So our first model here, she's got the very classic bohemian look going with the curls, and then in the back she has braids going on, which is again a huge trend that we're seeing this year for brides.
And that's very simple. We were seeing just one braid sort of wrapping. Are we pulling it, is it over? It's just from one side,
No,
both
it's
on
both
either sides, right?
yeah.
And then pulling to the back. That's just one braid.
That's just
and
one
just
braid.
curls. So you're getting kind of that combination of a little bit of up, a little bit off the face, but still lots of hair down in curls.
Yeah. Another thing you need to think of when you're doing your hair for your wedding is how well your hair holds curl.
Yes, I think that's actually a really good consideration.
Yeah.
So that was something that you would ask at the salon, because it's true. Some women naturally, our hair just holds curl better.
Absolutely.
And so do you want to venture into a possible very humid day with curls that maybe don't hold that well in your hair?
You can't always fight nature.
Right.
So whatever you're given, sometimes you can't go against that. However, we do have as many products as we can to get those curls to hold as best as we can, but they will fall naturally just with gravity.
Now, in terms of prep for the day as well, best not to wash your hair the morning of?
Absolutely.
Right?
One day dirty.
And that is really hard for some people. Some people have to wash their hair every day, they think, right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of these stylists will say, oh, don't wash your hair every day, but it's hard to get your head around that, right? Especially for your wedding day. You're thinking, I need to have clean hair for my wedding day.
Yeah.
But if you want to have good hair, and especially if you're doing updos and you want things to hold, you don't want it baby soft, right?
Yeah.
You gotta have something to work with.
Yeah, it just stays a little better, stays a little
Sure.
firmer.
And then
so.
you guys obviously do stuff, as you say, with your magic to make it stay a little bit better.
Absolutely,
All right, so let's look at our second model. So we definitely have a lot more curl here, but there's some nice intricacies around the crown that really give it that extra oomph for a wedding day.
Yeah, you're the star of the day. The bride is the star of the day. So you want to look your absolute best, and you want to look as fancy. Some brides want to look as fancy as they can. So what we have with our second model here, she's got long flowing curls, so that will go really quite nice with a strapless dress, a sweetheart neckline.
Sure.
Covering the shoulders just a little bit. And then in the back.
Let's see the back. That's neat. So again, it's kind of sweeping off one shoulder, right? So
Yeah.
you're getting some really nice openness to the neck on one side.
Another very popular trend is going to the one side.
Ah, okay. Now, again, if you look at those two models together, both have some hair down. So again, you can have, strapless dresses and have some hair down to, if you don't have a big fancy neckline, you don't want to be covering that up, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that works well. So again, you're looking at the blondes here as well. Obviously you can see that she has highlights in her hair. When you're doing those kind of little details with the bobby pins and that, it looks so cool when you have some highlights, right?
Blonde hair definitely shows the intricacies the best out of any of the hair colors. So if you're going for a really detailed look and you do have the blonde highlights, it will really, really pop with this sort of look.
Really adds to it, absolutely. Now, we're gonna go over to the next model. Now, this is more of an updo. Now, one thing we used to see a lot, years ago, were updos that were so tight and so pulled, and you're not really seeing that much right now, right?
No, it's a little bit looser of a style. This is a very classic look with a modern twist on it.
Okay, so what gives it that modern twist?
It being looser, like you
Because
mentioned.
it is looser. Okay. All right. So looking at the front again, nice open face, open neckline. So with a dress, you could have again more detail
Anything,
around
yeah.
basically any dress really you want. Let's turn the model around a little bit so we can see. Again, little pieces, loose pieces, but still a deliberate style, but has that kind of cool, messy look to it. Very neat.
Another thing I love about the full updos is your hair's up off your neck.
Yes.
So in those hot summer months, this is a look I would go for just because you don't want to be sweaty on
Yep.
your wedding day.
Well, you know what? From experience and from friends, you know, sometimes you try to do that down and the hair down and everything. And yeah, sometimes you get those weddings in the summer in the humidity and those curls start to fall. And if you do have product in it, sometimes it doesn't help.
Yeah.
And it actually weighs it down. And then you don't have that beautiful hairstyle anymore. You have a lot more control when you have your hair pulled up.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So other tips for the day when you're looking at a hairstyle that you want to make it last for the day, you know, obviously you don't want to put too much hairspray in, but you gotta have
You
a
gotta
little
have
bit.
enough. So it's just finding that exact perfect balance between not too much product and not too little product.
All right, extensions. So how often are you seeing people adding extensions these days?
It is quite popular, especially with a look like our second or first model here.
Where you need a little bit more hair. And sometimes some hair is fine and you want, again, you want to look special. So you don't want your hair to look like pretty much any other day of your life. You want, again, to stand out. You've got the most beautiful dress on ever, probably the most expensive dress you'll ever buy. And so you want your hair to be awesome. So adding extensions, what do you recommend? Clip-ins or the semi-permanent ones, or what do you think?
It depends on what you want. Like if it's just for the day, if you're that kind of girl that's not fussy with their hair on the regular basis, I would just go with the clip-ins for the day.
Sure.
They are more cost effective as well. They're just easier to take out that day.
Yes, and if you're going away on a honeymoon and you're about to head off to the beach and you have extensions maybe that you're not used to, you don't want to be messing around with that,
No.
right? You don't want them
Especially if
showing-
that's not something
Yeah.
that's common for you.
Yeah, and so you're on your honeymoon going, oh, what do I do with my hair? And
Yeah.
that's just not easy. How much notice should people be booking in advance with your salon to before their wedding? Obviously they want to come in for a trial as well, right?
Absolutely. We will take anyone as we took a bride a week before her wedding this year.
Was she in panic mode or what?
She was in total panic mode, but absolutely the earlier the better. We do book on a first come, first serve basis. So those more popular wedding dates at the end of May, June, July,
Sure. You want to
book as early
the pressure's
as you
on your
can.
salon, I'm
Absolutely.
sure. I guess it's probably helpful for people to have some pictures on their phone or to bring
Yeah.
in clippings, whatever it may be.
Pinterest is a huge
Pinterest
thing.
is, I can imagine how
Everyone
awesome that
has
would
Pinterest.
be. Right, absolutely. So it's access, right? And look and see what you think. Sometimes you don't have a clue what you want,
Yep.
but you guys can help maybe together knowing what you can judge their hair
Yep.
and with pictures. And
we do
give them
a
ideas.
trial for the
Yes.
bride. So we recommend doing the trial on a day when you have an event
Yes.
or your bachelorette party.
Good
Or
idea.
even the day of your dress fitting, so then you'll know what your completed look looks like.
Very good idea. Well, thank you, models. You'll look beautiful. Now you have to go somewhere fancy too. Thank you, Rebecca, and thank you to Refresh Salon and Spa here in Ancaster. We'll have more TERRA at Home to come. When I dream in color. When I think of color, I think of TERRA. Make your dreams come true at TERRA, where color lives.
I am a truth seeker.
A storyteller.
A dedicated volunteer.
I am a caring neighbor.
A customer's best friend.
And a client advocate.
I am a survivor.
A social media junkie.
A proud father of four and problem solver.
I am the Hamilton Spectator.
I am the Hamilton Spectator.
I am the Hamilton Spectator.
I am.
We are the Hamilton Spectator.
You've sat under them and built forts in them. You've swung from them and fell out of them. You've even fallen in love under them. Trees have always held a special place in our hearts and memories. A natural beauty, trees will grow with you and your family and bring color and nature into your world. For your assurance of quality, look for trees and shrubs with the Medallion plant tag. Medallion plants, locally grown, the pride of Niagara.
Good morning, welcome back to TERRA at Home. We're back with Chef Mark and from La Piazza Allegro restaurant in Hamilton. Hamilton Spectator has been nice enough to let us use their Go Cooking kitchen. So we're here again and in the new year and coming up with a dish that you really like. This is ratatouille, right?
This is ratatouille.
Okay,
Yeah.
so obviously something that's one of your favorites, kind of a good cozy meal to have in the winter time.
It's comfort food.
Yes.
It's comfort food.
But
This
it's
is
still relatively healthy, is it not?
It is.
Yes.
I mean, all that's in it is tomatoes, zucchini, eggplant, some tomato sauce, and then I put my own little twist on it. But I mean, it essentially is a baked vegetable casserole. And done properly, ratatouille is fantastic. And I mean, this is a staple as a vegetable in Europe for sure.
Okay.
This combination of
Right.
vegetables.
Okay. All right. So you have the dangerous.
I have my mandolin out. I have my mandolin out. Now, if you don't want to do it by mandolin, there's a lot of different ways of doing it. Some people, the way I'm going to do it is we're going to slice everything, we're going to layer it with some tomato sauce, and we're going to put, what I have here is Parmesan and breadcrumbs. And what I've done is I mix them and I put them on a baking sheet and bake them in the oven. Toast them up a little bit, okay? Oh. So that's what that is. And then we have some fresh thyme over here.
Okay.
Now, you could do it where the way I'm doing it, where you put it in a dish and then bake it in the oven, or the other option is to do it like a stew on a pot.
Right.
And a lot of people do that.
I think that's the only way I've ever had it was stewed on a pot. So I think I like the idea of it baking in an oven.
You know what? It's just a little bit different. With baking it in the oven, you don't need to put any oil whatsoever.
Right.
Like I have no oil in this dish other than whatever oil went into sautéing the onions for the tomato sauce.
Wow,
but
so
other
it's
than
minimal.
that, it's very minimal.
Okay.
Where if you do it on a pot, you do need a little bit more oil there, and you need to stir it around and stuff like that.
So let's talk about the tomato sauce for a bit too. What type of tomato sauce is this? Your basic?
This is our basic tomato sauce that we make in the restaurant. It's a ragu style tomato sauce.
Okay.
So it's a little bit on the robust side.
All right,
it's
that's
been
what I was
stewed.
wondering.
Yeah, it's not that. I mean, if you look at the way Sicilians cook tomato sauce, because it's so hot down there, it's very fresh, very quick. So they'll take diced tomatoes, olive oil, garlic, saute it in the pan, and that's pretty much their tomato sauce.
Yes.
This one has been stewed for a period of time.
Thick, like a richer flavor
It's a richer
to it.
flavor.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a lot
All
more depth to it than
Okay.
anything else. Okay. So again, like I said, you could do it as a stew on the stove. What I find though, by baking it is, I find that if you overcook or cook eggplant and zucchini for a long period of time, it gets very bitter. Where when you bake it in the oven, you can bake it a little bit longer. It still doesn't pull out that bitterness that you will get in the vegetables.
Okay.
So that's why I prefer doing it this way. But again, it doesn't really matter. You can do it either way you want. So we're going to slice. And I mean, if you have mandolin, they're fantastic.
So
if
be
you
careful.
don't, do it by
Don't look
knife.
at me while you're doing that. All of a sudden, oh, you add fingers to your ratatouille?
Nah, if you do have one, you should be familiar with it. If you're not familiar with them, be careful because they can be somewhat dangerous. But what's nice about them is you get you get cuts out of this that you cannot
thin that is.
get.
Yeah, but if you're doing that by hand, that just becomes a very tedious.
It does.
And obviously, it's going to help with the overall baking if you have them all relatively the same size.
That's right.
Or thickness.
Yep, exactly. So we have that. We have our eggplant. And the eggplant, just take our top off. Same thing, you're going to run it across your mandolin. There we go.
So is this, generally, this is an Italian dish?
It's actually French.
I was going to say, but it sounds like it's French to me. So
French.
How come I generally have it with Italians making it?
Because, like I said, in Europe, this combination of vegetables is used quite a bit.
Okay.
So the tomatoes, the zucchini, they're readily available. Eggplants are always growing in season. It's almost like these things never go out of season in Europe.
I see, okay.
So
All right.
it's a very simple, cost-effective way of doing a side dish. And because we use so much of it in both cultures, you'll find it everywhere. But it is a French dish. Actually, if anyone has seen it, made very popular by that movie, the kids movie.
But yes, and that's why I'm thinking. I know ratatouille is a French word, so that's kind of funny. All right.
So,
and again, it's a great way of using as you say, all these awesome vegetables, but in a good way. Now, I like that last time we did a vegetable dish as well. We did a vegetable stir fry, and sometimes people are trying to pull, some of the particularly red meats out of their diet. So it gives you options to have. Now, you're saying you could have this as a side dish, but you could also have this as
you could have it as an entree. Sure. Yep. You could definitely have it as an entree. I mean, if you make enough of it, it will fill you up. The only thing is, it does take quite a quantity because it's only light vegetables.
That's right. It's just like vegetables. There's only a little bit of the breadcrumbs in there. So maybe you could have a big, giant, crusty piece of bread with it or something.
Hell yeah.
That would help.
A lot of our recipes, when you and I are doing stuff like this, come back to the crusty loaf of bread.
I know, but it's so good. That's the one part that I'll go for. That's just awesome.
Now, again, the tomatoes that I got, I selected ones that were firm. And
yes, I noticed. I can tell by just the way you're cutting it.
Yeah, there's a crunch to them. And I did it on purpose because I don't want this to turn into pile of mush. I have this sauce already here that's already been pureed. It's already soft and everything like that.
Okay.
So I want this to have a little bit of firmness to stand up against these two other vegetables. So when you do pick your tomatoes, again, that's a personal preference sort of thing. If you want something softer, find something softer. But I tend to like, that combination and having those firm.
Okay.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some tomato sauce on the bottom.
Okay.
This
so you
will
don't
help.
need to grease that at all. Just the sauce in itself will
Just
help
the sauce.
create the barrier.
And this is also going to give you a little bit of moisture to help steam those vegetables when
Right.
you put it in the oven. And then it's a matter of layering it. And it really doesn't matter how you want to do it. If you had watched that movie, you could do that. And all we're going to do is we're going to alternate here.
Oh, so you're kind of going. I was expecting you to be laying them flat, but you're not.
No, I'm going to go upward.
Okay.
I'm going to do this, though. And then we'll do that. A little bit more zucchini on this one as we get to the middle. And the only problem with this is trying to remember what order you're putting them in.
Yeah, exactly, because the eggplant kind of covers it up.
There we go. Then we'll go backwards on this one. So we'll go eggplant.
That's great.
And then we'll do our zucchini.
So then once you do that layer, is it more sauce and then the breadcrumb mix?
I'm going to put a little bit more sauce, but first I'm going to salt and pepper it because you got to remember these vegetables have no salt and pepper. So the only salt you're going to get or flavor you're going to get out of that is from the tomato sauce. So you do need to add some to this.
Okay. All right, you know what we're going to do? We're going to take a quick break and we'll come back and we'll finish this up and show you how it all turns out.
Comes out.
When I dream in color. When I think of color, I think of TERRA. Make your dreams come true at TERRA, where color lives. Good morning, welcome back to TERRA at Home. We're back with Chef Mark and we're making a ratatouille.
Yes.
It smells amazing in here right now.
It's very nice.
It's been hiding out in the oven. So how long was it in the oven for?
I was in there about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, about 20 minutes. So what we did, just to finish it off,
Yes.
so I put salt and pepper, put a little bit of thyme, and then I put the breadcrumb and Parmesan mixture on top.
Okay.
Put it in the oven. Now, again, I didn't want this to stew for a long time. I really wanted it to cook quickly, so I put it on a high broil, and I put it on a lower rack.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
So let's take a look at this.
So again, you also had toasted, ooh, that looks so good. You had toasted the breadcrumbs and the Parmesan together first on a
Ahead of time, yeah.
baking sheet, right?
Yeah, we put that together, so put it in the oven, just let it brown up a little bit more. It makes a nice crust.
Okay.
And that's what we have here, and if you want, I mean, you have extra, sprinkle a
little
little
bit
extra on top, and away it goes. It adds a little bit of salt because of the Parmesan in there, but for the most part, that is, and it's perfect for vegetarians. I mean,
It
this
really is, and
fantastic
it's
for
quite a light
vegetarians.
dish, again, because there's just that little bit of breadcrumb in there and a little bit of cheese. So when you're putting the sauce on the bottom, you have some on top as well. That allows the vegetables, as you say, to steam. So they're not really going to be crispy, they are going to be soft inside.
They're going to be a little bit softer,
they
but
have
you
the
can
still
see
the
they still got a
firm
firmness.
texture.
Yeah, they're not mushy because you didn't have it sitting there and stewing for a long period of time, like hours and hours.
Okay, just a reminder as well, you can grab all these recipes on our website at terragreenhouses.com. Now, obviously, I guess you could, if you wanted to have a starch with this, you could add something to it, add a pasta to the side, or
I can do rice or a pasta or
rice
something like
or
that and make a
something.
full meal out of it for
Sure.
sure. If you left the breadcrumb, if you just put breadcrumbs only or you left the cheese out of that, it's also a vegan option, which is always tough.
Very good. I was going to say, you know, as a chef, obviously in a restaurant, you have to accommodate a lot of people, so you probably get a lot more than you used to when you first started out, right?
We do, so
All
we're always
right,
thinking of new ways
we're
of
trying to
coming up with
provide
something.
that for you on the show
That's
too.
right.
Very good. Thank you so much. Have yourself a great weekend.